President's fancy office, I would like to call on my friend and colleague Weaver. She's a professor of the African American and Political Studies Department and a Yale Law School professor, Miriam Gohara. They are here to express some words of support on behalf of the righteous university faculty members. So let's give it up for Veshla and Miriam. I am so glad to see you all here. This has taken way too long to change. There has been way too much deliberating, talking, forming new committees about renaming. We need action. We need this symbol and iconography of oppression and domination to come down now. And we need the next entering class of Yale College. We need the community of New Haven to know that Yale does not stand for the support of a white supremacist leader. Thank you. Calhoun does not deserve respect! Change the name! 83 years of racist shit! Change the name! We were hoping to have Corey Menafee here today. He's on his way, but in the meantime, we want to make sure that we raise the voices of those dining hall workers and other workers at Yale who have to suffer the indignity and the shame of having to work in an institution that sees them as inferior. So while we wait for Corey to get here, I'm going to call on Vanessa Suarez, who's a worker, a badass worker at Yale University. And Vanessa's going to say a few words. Give it up for Vanessa!
Good afternoon. My name is Vanessa Suarez, and I am a dining hall employee at Yale College. I stand in solidarity with my fellow co-workers, Yale students, the community members, and other organizations who are in favor of changing the name. Calhoun College serves as an example of institutional racism in our society as it condones the years of enslavement of African Americans. It comes to no surprise to me that one of my fellow co-workers felt compelled to break a window depicting the enslavement of African Americans. As a Yale employee, I am constantly reminded of my status in our society, as I have to wear my blue shirt and my black pants and perform my duties. I am reminded that I am a part of the working class, a large body of people who are exploited on a regular basis to sustain and reproduce the capitalist society we live in. If Yale truly seeks to educate their students and develop their intellectual, moral, and civil capacities so as to cultivate citizens with a rich awareness of our heritage, then there should be no doubt that Yale should change the Calhoun College name and demand reparations. We demand reparations, and I hope that Yale takes a step in the right direction against institutional racism. I hope that Yale sets an example for New Haven, for Connecticut, and for our country to tell the truth about slavery and make reparations.
event. New Haven Rising has been fighting for 2 years to try to solve this racist jobs crisis and to change the relationship between Yale and the city. And I'm here, and I know all of you are here because it is absolutely unacceptable that Yale refuses to change the name of Calhoun College. We need to change the name. And I think we all know there is a lot more that needs to change around here. When you have more than 25% of children going to bed hungry in the Hill neighborhood, we need more. When unemployment in Black and Latino communities is 3 times that of the white community, we need more. When over half of working age adults in this very wealthy town do not make enough to make ends meet, we need more. When the city says it's broke and we don't have the money to invest in our youth and families, but we have a $26 billion institution in our backyard that does not pay taxes, we need more. When Church Street South is condemned and families are being displaced with no plan to even maintain safe and affordable housing, let alone expand it, we need more. When residents in our neighborhoods of need, like Dixwell, Fairhaven, The Hill, New Hallville, Dwight, hold only 2,000 of the 47,000 living wage jobs. That's less than 4%. In communities of color, we need more. When Yale University promises this community that they will hire 1,000 residents.
That's right.
And then turns around and threatens to eliminate, downgrade, and outsource good union jobs.
Liar.
We need more. And we need more people like us, like all of us, who are coming together and staying together so that we can demand all of these things. Because we need it and we deserve it.
Yeah.
Our communities deserve more.
Yes.
And we're not here to beg. We actually subsidize this institution.
Yes.
We are coming to demand what is ours,
That is right.
what belongs to us. And being here with all of you actually gives me hope that we can do it, that we can have what we deserve. Because it's not too much to ask that our families have decent living wage jobs and housing and safety and freedom from the violence and deprivation that has plagued our community. And I know I am not going to stop, and I hope all of you are not going to stop until we get it. Thank you.
All right, change the name. 83 years of racist shit. Change the name. Yale's excuse not calling it. Change the name. Take down these racist window bins. Change the name.
So Chloe Menafee is about a block away, but in the meantime, let's hear from some of our other supporters who are here to change the name. From the Answer Coalition, I have Ivy Stocklow. They're going to say a few words in support. Ivy, come on up.
That was quite a show. This shit. Sure.
Go, Ivy! Hey, how are we doing today? How are we feeling about this name? So I think that we all know, because we're residents of New Haven, and a lot of us are students at Yale here. I'm not. I'm a student at University of New Haven. That it's more than just about history. It's about a legacy of racism and oppression and brutality that continues in the streets of this city to this day. So if we want to talk about history, we want to talk about who are the slave catchers that are walking around here today. right now by police when we are peacefully protesting this racist name? Why are Yale police and New Haven police collaborating together to brutalize and terrorize the people of this city?
Right.
It's the legacy of Calhoun and the legacy of people like Calhoun who ran this country, who founded this country on genocide, on slavery, on brutality, whose legacy continues today from Standing Rock to the streets of New Haven.
Peaceful protest! Peaceful protest!
Where just a month ago, Holly Tucker was smashed on her face by New Haven police officers,
right.
continuing that racist legacy of Calhoun. When the Yale students who are so bravely out here with us, can I hear you? Make some noise, Yale! Look at all y'all. I know that you guys receive instructions when you're touring Yale of what streets not to go to. Because those streets haven't been gentrified yet. Because they haven't moved the poor and the people of color and the people of this city out for Yale to clean up.
That's right.
That's right, that's right.
Because we need to stop that legacy from continuing. It's more than a name. It's more than a symbol. It's something that continues to this day. It's violence. It's hate that continues to this day. And the only way we can stop that is not by justice coming down from Yale. It's through a movement like this.
Right.
It's when we threaten to shut it down and we create a new system where we dictate what's okay and what the legacy is going to be. Are we going to do that? Are we going to do that? Are we in it for the long haul? Are we in it for the long haul? Are we going to smash racism everywhere? Are we going to fight back against racism everywhere? All right, I want to do a little new chant while we wait for Corey.
Oh, one more person? All right.
I'm just going to do a quick one, all right? Calhoun College, shut it down! Racist systems!
Shut it down!
Racist systems!
Shut it down!
Racist colleges!
Shut it down!
Calhoun College!
Shut it down!
Gentrification!
Shut it down!
The whole damn system!
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 Shut it down!
I said the whole damn system!
Shut it down!
Thank you!
Thank you, Ivy, and there's been Corey Menafee sighting, so bear with us. He is on his way. Oh, Corey's here! Come on up, Corey. So it gives me great pleasure to introduce one of our New Haven heroes. A few months ago, he was working at Calhoun College. He looked up and he saw that stained glass window depicting quote-unquote happy slaves picking cotton. Now what did he do? He did the right thing. He got up on a couple of benches and he tore it down. And for that, he was arrested, he was charged with a felony, and he was fired. And Corey fought back, and the community stood behind him. The students stood with him, and we fought hard until Corey was rehired at Yale University and the charges were dropped against him. It was Corey's act of bravery that really made those of us who live in New Haven realize that Calhoun College is just not an offense to the students who have fought so bravely to change the name, but it's an affront and it's an insult to the rest of us who believe in peace and justice and social justice in New Haven. So thank you, Corey, for opening our eyes and coming up and say a few words.
Thank you.
Thank you all for coming out today for this purpose of demonstrating our discontent with the name John Calhoun College. We are here because we no longer want the name Calhoun casting a shadow on our university. The university we all come and know to love. And we are here because we want the powers that be to hear us. And to hear us loudly and clearly that the time for change is now. Not next semester, not the year after, but now. Thank you very much, and God bless all of you.
I'm going to ask my fellow colleagues who are representing the community, students and faculty, to come up with me. We're about to deliver this letter to Peter Salovey, demanding that he change the name. And that he do it now. Come on up with me. And then after we deliver the letter, we're going to have a couple more people say a few words. And then we're going to ask you who's down with us to continue this fight. We're not done yet. This is only the beginning. So let's deliver this letter, have a few more speakers, and we hope to see you in our next action. So come on up.
One more thing. I know they can hear us in there. So if you're listening, we want to speak to administrators, we want to speak to Salovey, we don't want aides, we want to have our voices heard by those who are other, of course, than the corporation in charge of this university. And to the corporation, who I'm sure will hear about this in a couple days, if they haven't already, we would like you to listen too. Because without us, without the community, without your students, without those who work here, those who teach here, you don't have a university. Yeah.
Hey, let's do it. I'm ringing the doorbell for a long time so they hear us.
On the door. Hang on it. Bang on it.
Yes! And I also want to introduce my friend Marie. Huh?
I'm sorry.
We want Salovey!
We want justice!
We want Salovey! 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 We want Salovey!
So unfortunately, the president is at a meeting.
Storm the building!
How convenient! Convenient! So I think what we should do is deliver the letter to his assistant, and then we're going to chant really loudly that we'll be back. You know why? Because we'll be back!
We'll be back!
We'll be back. 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 We're also going to demonstrate petition. We're also going to be delivering a letter for Shirley's petition to join the renaming committee, just so everyone knows. Yeah. We want Salovey! 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 We'll be back! 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 Salovey, how long has it been in a meeting or something? The entire month that we've been protesting!
So we got a couple more people.
Yeah. Just get sure. Wait, hold on. I was just saying you wanted to.
All right, folks, we got a couple more people who are going to speak. Where is Stan? Stan Hammer? Oh.
My name's Stan Heller. I do the Struggle Video News. I want to ask you a question. What's the name of the plaza? Not so. It's been renamed. In 1980s, we had a big anti-apartheid movement. We marched here with 1,000 people. We renamed this Allen Bosak Plaza after a great South African anti-apartheid leader. You got to know your history. I went to this college. They didn't teach me the slavery history here. I was a history major. They didn't teach it to me here. Let's talk about the Panthers. You heard of Black Panthers? What about New Haven and the Panthers? Do you know they tried to electrocute Bobby Seale? They put him on trial and other Panthers in this town. Do you know about that trial? We had 10,000 people on the New Haven Green. Yale students struck, refused to go to class for an entire week in 1970. And it helped bring about the acquittal of Bobby Seale. There's history to these things. We marched over here, we marched to the actual home of the president of Yale with the Yale unions and Vinnie Cirabella in the labor struggles again and again. I didn't learn about Yale and slavery until the unions, maybe 10 years ago, started a website called yaleslavery.org. It's worth looking at. And you'll find out that Calhoun isn't the only guy. We have maybe even a worse thing, a man named Morse. Morse College invented the telegraph. What could be better than that? Except he was a die-hard supporter of the secession cause and slavery during the Civil War. And they named his college not back in the 30s when everybody was racist, but in '62, a year before Martin Luther King in Washington did the I Had a Dream speech. Learn all about this stuff. Learn all about this stuff. I want to read you a letter I sent to the Yale Daily News. For some reason, they didn't print it.
I wonder why.
You know, I've been looking at the website every day for it. I noticed today there's not even any mention of this march or the whole controversy with Calhoun. I was on the last week. I was in the South with Travis. We drove 3,400 miles back and forth to Memphis, Tennessee. We were in Selma, Montgomery, on a anti-racism march that was organized by a Congregational Church in Old Lyme, Connecticut. 2 paragraphs, want to read it, rejected by the Yale Daily News. To the editor, I'm writing from Selma, Alabama on a Wheels of Justice tour of the South with Old Lime's United Church of Christ. We're driving to 10 cities learning about the traumas of slavery, anti-black terrorism, and mass incarceration. Yesterday in Montgomery, we visited the Equal Justice Initiative, which started as a legal effort to rescue Alabama death row prisoners. It's also attempting to memorialize the 4,000 people it has identified as victims of lynchings. On a wall of its building, there are bottles filled with soil from scores of lynching sites, each labeled with the name of the man or woman murdered. In a few hours, we'll be walking over the Edmund Pettus Bridge, a structure named after a Ku Klux Klan Grand Dragon. It's the bridge where the civil rights protesters walked to glory in 1965. The fact that the bridge has not been renamed is an obscenity. For those who travel on it, it's a daily reminder and approval of racist madness. Names matter in Selma. They matter at Yale. It's long past time that Calhoun College be renamed and that Yale establish a Truth and Reconciliation Commission to examine all the ways our university benefited and fostered slavery. There needs to be a full accounting, and the university must make amends. Stan Heller, class of '69, Branford College, Yale, change the name!
Our last speaker is here presenting a statement on behalf of Shirley Lawrence, who is a longtime Yale employee, and she has been fighting to be part of the renaming committee since the renaming committee does not have any Yale employees. So we're going to hear from Marie, and then we're going to have our own little special chant for Peter Salovey, reminding him that this is not over. So come on up, Marie. Woo!
I'm here with Daniel Hamidi, here on behalf of Shirley Lawrence, a Davenport Dining Hall employee. Miss Shirley has worked at Yale for 30 years and has committed her entire life to social justice and advocacy, and it's unacceptable that there are no blue-collar workers represented on the committee to establish principles on renaming. Blue-collar workers play an integral role at Yale and definitely deserve for their voices to be heard, and now I'm going to read a few of her words. She couldn't be here with us today because she's working currently. First and foremost, I'm coming to this protest as a single black mother who just so happens to work in a dining hall named after a slave owner. I will not sit quietly and watch Yale continue this atrocity of excluding workers from having a voice on this campus, and in particular at this table for the committee to establish principles on renaming. Workers at Yale are constantly reminded of where we're from by visuals, names, and derogatory actions. We will not sit quietly and clean, cook, and fix while the administration makes plans that affect our lives without us. We have organized a petition demanding worker representation on the renaming committee, which has received overwhelming support. Over 160 workers and 800 students. Many faculty members, hundreds of members of New Haven community, and many student groups, including the Black Student Alliance at Yale, Dwight Hall, the Black Women's Coalition, and the American Constitution Society at Yale. We won't stop until Yale starts including us. We have this petition here that we're going to hand deliver to Peter Salovey, and he may not want to come to the door right now, but we'll be back.
We'll be back! We'll be back! We'll be back! We'll be back! We'll be back!
So folks, I just want to let those of you who are inspired and feel still that social justice ardor in your tummies, that right after this, some of us are going to head over to the New Haven Police Department to support our sister Barbara Fair, whose daughter was beaten by the New Haven Police. So those of you who can make it, please join us at the New Haven Police Department. In the meantime, Briam is going to close our rally with a special chant that we want you to chant as loudly as you can because we want to let the president know he might be busy today, but guess what? We'll be back. And if he doesn't meet with us this week, he's going to meet with us next week. And if not the next week, then the week after.